Democrats in Congress are facing a unified Republican government. ABC News is now projecting Republicans will retain a slim majority in the House. Democratic Congressman Seth Magaziner of Rhode Island joins me now for more on that. Congressman, thank you for coming on. How are Democrats planning to push back on the Trump administration's priorities? And how much can you realistically do if Republicans have control of the executive branch and both chambers of Congress?
Well, our mantra in the Democratic caucus in the House is that we will work across the aisle with Republicans when it is good for the American people and we can advance good policy. But we also will not hesitate to call out extremism when it needs to be called out. And I think the nomination of figures like Matt Gaetz is a good example of that, a good example of President-elect Trump making an error that needs to be called out and a light shown upon it. And so, that's going to be our approach for the next 2 years. Like, look, on the Democratic side, we want to get good things done. Like, we want to do things that will help working people, that will help make our country stronger. And we will work with Republicans to do that. But when they take on extreme policies, when they nominate people to key law enforcement and national security positions who are not qualified, then we will absolutely make the case to the American people that President Trump and the Republicans have gone too far, and we will be vocal about it.
Now, you've called not just Gaetz, but also Tulsi Gabbard unqualified and potentially dangerous. What are your biggest concerns when it comes to Trump's nominees so far?
Well, the president has a right to nominate who he wants to his cabinet, but the Senate has a role under the Constitution in vetting those nominees. And, there are some people who the president has put forward, like Marco Rubio for Secretary of State, who I may disagree with, but who is clearly qualified. With Matt Gaetz and Tulsi Gabbard, he has nominated people who are unqualified and unfit for very important roles. I'm the ranking member on the Homeland Security Subcommittee for Counterterrorism, Intelligence, and Law Enforcement. And I am very concerned that Tulsi Gabbard has shown a repeated pattern of echoing the talking points of our adversaries, of Russia, of Syria, and other belligerents who do not have the American people's best interests at heart. She has parroted the talking points of our adversaries. She has, at the very least, been gullible in sort of falling for their false talking points. And for her to have access to our most sensitive national security information about our nuclear program, information about the location and activities of our service members, would, in my view, be very dangerous. Matt Gaetz, I mean, where do you start, right? He is not qualified for the role. His legal experience is limited. I think he only practiced for a couple months, never tried a major case, so he's clearly not fit to be the top official at the Justice Department. But he is also reviled in Congress by both Democrats and Republicans as being unfit, unethical, untrustworthy, and not someone certainly who should be in charge of key agencies like the FBI. And so, listen, I understand that the president is not going to nominate people who I will agree with all the time. That's fine. That's how the system works. But there are basic tests of character and competency that need to be met, and that's why there is a Senate confirmation process that must be adhered to.
Now, Republican Congressman John Rutherford says the Ethics Committee can't release its report into Gaetz now that he's resigned. Senator Dick Durbin's calling for that report to be preserved and reviewed by the Senate. How critical is that report, and should it play a role in Gaetz's confirmation process, given he was never criminally charged?
Well, first of all, if Matt Gaetz has nothing to hide, then he should be okay with the report being released. If Matt Gaetz, doesn't want to hide anything, wants to be an open book and wants to have the trust of the American people, then he should call on the Ethics Committee to release the report. The fact of the matter is that he has been credibly accused of serious crimes and serious ethical lapses. And my colleague, Mr. Rutherford, is wrong. The Ethics Committee absolutely can release the report if they choose to do so. Now, they haven't released reports for regarding former members of Congress in the past, but those former members of Congress have also not been nominated to positions like U.S. Attorney General in the past. This is an unprecedented situation for someone who is the focus of a very serious ethics investigation to be nominated for a position like the United States Attorney General. So the committee absolutely has the authority to release the report if they choose to do so. And if Matt Gaetz is so innocent, then he should be okay with the report being released so that the Senate and the American people can make their own judgment.
All right, Congressman Seth Magaziner, we appreciate your time today, Congressman. Thank you.
Thanks for having me.